Look, we did the thing. Oh my God. Welcome to the Alchemists Inkwell. This is your spiritual podcast for grounded people. Making sure today.
Right, we're in the same room.
Yeah. And that's why it's so hard to be grounded, because the energy in here is charged. It's like insta theta.
Yeah, we had to take the dogs out.
Yeah.
So that they wouldn't be even more energy in the room. But yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania with Krista and I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're having our writers retreat for certain people who join a program with us that we will be talking more about later. So if you're like really have your curiosity piqued about that, then we will be able to tell you more about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, definitely. We have some more information coming about our writers program in the next cohort very, very soon.
Very soon.
Really, really soon.
Like almost today soon, but not quite.
Next time soon. Also, I think we're just going to call you Alchemists, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
It's just the easiest for us. People liked that one. I was like, okay, so I'll do my best to say Alchemist as opposed to dude or guys or
y'all or
thems.
You.
Thems.
All the people who are witnessing this now.
Right.
Yeah.
So the past couple weeks we've had additional topics on top of the astrology and the weekly forecast and all that. That is not this week though. No. That is not this week in the slightest.
Yeah. This week is big eclipse energy. So we are going to be covering the eclipse on April 30th, the last day of April. And we are also going to be covering the transits that are happening on and around it. So this April was the last really front heavy month before we go into May, which half of it has the eclipse cycle in it as well. But then all of the big heavy hitter 2022 things kind of slow down for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I say that, but there's going to be transits every day, just like there always is. Disclaimer, I was doing horoscopes for the eclipse today and just really channeling in how to explain.
The dogs are barking.
Yeah,
continue.
Sorry. Just channeling in how to explain things going on with the eclipse. And it's important to understand that like astrology happens, whether you are trying to make it do something for you or not. Yeah. So when I'm thinking about people who the question comes up valid about how to manifest during eclipse, we're going to probably talk about in the middle and probably wrap up this episode by saying during an eclipse, especially don't, but also why would you want to? The message that I got when I was asking about this was sometimes you get to just watch the show and enjoy the show. Mm-hmm. And so if you are so intent with every day being every moment, every intention all the time, you're going to miss opportunities to expand your comfort zone, your horizons, your opportunities. That's why in manifesting, we do this or something greater, because you get yeah.
Hey, Allison, please delete this little bit up front. We are starting again because the dogs decided they hated blow dryers.
Yeah. So from the point where the dogs start barking, if you heard it, or the point where my face went, that's where you would want to start. All right. Jumping back in 3, 2, 1. So when I was talking to guides and channeling in about horoscopes for an eclipse, which feels a little weird to begin with, because you're supposed to allow and witness and just receive. One of the big things that came up for how to manifest during an eclipse, which by the way, don't, but a way to exist instead of manifesting is to just enjoy the show. Be observant of what's happening around you. Even in a movie where the main character is the center of the entire thing and it's only one POV, that main character has moments where they have to stop and observe.
Yeah.
The eclipse are built-in moments where things are happening on a larger scale. Things are happening outside of our perspective. And then we get to see where we fit in with that as it's revealed to us.
It's an exercise in trust too, if you want to think about it that way, because that's really what eclipses are. Like all the other moons and even most astrological events that happen throughout the year, we can do stuff with, we can manifest with, or we can shed things with, or we can do specific activated activities that make us feel more in control of whatever's happening. But that's not eclipse season. That's not how eclipse season works. Eclipse season is literally like sit there and let the universe do stuff.
Exactly. Which
is an exercise in trust for a lot of us. And I get it, but trying to go against that is only going to make it worse. So
and astrologically, the science behind why this is. It's because the sun is the generator of light. All of our light comes from the sun. The planets, we see them because they are reflecting the sun's light. The moon is reflecting the sun's light, especially on a solar eclipse like the one we're coming into. The moon is blocking the sun. Someone turned out the lights. We don't have a source of energy to manifest with. So if you consider the energy and light from the sun as what you're using and channeling to manifest, and you're putting your intentions on it to help it flow, the flow has stopped. We are letting the land rest. We are letting our energy rest, just like you let a farm rest some years. So eclipses are saying, hey, the universe is doing a thing. God's up to something. Watch, and then we'll let you know when you're called in.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is this eclipse feels really interesting. And I know there's an astrological reason for it, but it feels different than eclipses usually feel. So you're probably going to feel that even more. And that notion of like, but I want to do something because I can feel the energy shifting. And that's the point. Feel the energy shifting. If you want to do something, focus on how you feel it in your body.
That's exactly the suggestion I'm going to be making in just a moment when we talk about all of this. So, oh my God, we can high five in person.
Oh, yay!
So
we're always constantly like,
that was a good
That's
moment.
A win. Okay.
So moving on, the day before the eclipse, Pluto does station retrograde. And this is kind of cool because we've had all the planets moving direct since I believe the end of February. Everybody's been moving direct. So if you feel like the world is moving fast and you can't quite keep up, it's like when you're running and your feet get ahead of you or your torso gets ahead of you and you're just like, I need to balance this out. We're going to have some retrograde energy to balance this out. Retrograde is not a bad thing. I get a lot of people with the like scared emojis in my comments when I talk about retrogrades.
Well, and I don't know. Scary. Like
it sounds scary because things are moving backwards, but wouldn't it be nice to catch a break every once in a while? And retrogrades really give that opportunity. Yes, things can go wrong, so to speak, but it's also the opportunity to correct something that was going for a worse track than if you would have recognized and pivoted away. So retrogrades slow things down. It's the editing phase of a book. The book was written, but now you get to edit it and revise it and make it better so that when you share it with other people, it's ready and it's everything it can be and it's at its fullest, best, highest expression. That's how I view retrogrades. They're not always the most comfy thing in the moment, but that's life. So this is a time of really turning your transformation inward. It's taking everything that's been happening and just understanding it, allowing it to process. Pluto can indicate trauma. So this is your opportunity to, rather than allow something to become trauma, let it be integrated. Let it be processed the way it needs to be in your psyche, in your emotions, in whatever needs to happen. You have the space to do that. And you have the space to work on existing or, other traumas and let them be processed and address them. So this is going to be from the foreshadow started on January 5th. So Pluto started the degrees it will recover during its retrograde on January 5th. So you may have noticed themes since then, especially coming up. And those will be the things that you might especially be readdressing until October 10th. And then we will be able to lay it to rest, especially with Pluto. This is great. Stuff came up. We are unearthing them between now and October 10th. And then between October 10th and January 29th of 2023, they will be laid to rest appropriately. Isn't that nice?
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice. So the Pluto retrograde really isn't that long.
No, it's really not. Really what happens is it's on the other side of the sun from us. So it looks like it's moving backwards because when it was behind us, as a physical thing, it was moving forwards. So we're just seeing it covering the same space in our sky.
So we're moving around it.
Yeah. Well, we're moving around the sun. It's moving around the sun. It's behind us sometimes and it's behind the sun sometimes. So it's just a matter of if we're looking this way or if we're looking that way.
Yeah. Interesting. It's just, because Pluto moves so slow. I'm like, oh, so I thought it would be a retrograde for a while.
Yeah.
A couple months is not
Some
that
of
long.
them do retrograde for a while.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty interesting. We'll be talking about those later in the year because they will all go retrograde in turn since they're all direct right now. Don't worry, I'll tell you all about them. During this period, the United States will have its second touch on the degree of the Pluto return. So we had that back in February on the 20th. Actually, I know it was like advertised as the 22nd, but it was on the 20th exact. And there were some things that went down in the world that affected the United States, of course. But also know that like we are a part of the world And so things that are happening in the world affect us, and this is how it's affecting us. And we're going through a lot of change right now. And this simply validates that we're supposed to be going through a lot of change right now. We are revamping the way we do things. We are rebirthing our identity as a collective nation, or whatever the highest and best form ends up being. We're in that process of rebirth. So consider it kind of like labor, right? It's beautiful. It's a miracle, but we have to go through the process.
Yeah.
You would know more than I would, but it's just the image coming to mind.
No.
Yeah. So during Pluto retrograde, I just recommend experiment with what's transforming in your life, adapt to new versions of you inside and out, let yourself just try on a new hat every once in a while, and just research. If you're thinking about believing things, research them, understand them, be curious, and then they won't feel as intense and overwhelming.
Yeah, the energy definitely feels like a lot of stuff is going to move for a lot of people in big ways that it hasn't for a while.
Yeah.
When I look at it and I feel into it, it feels very much like all of the stuck stuff that you're like, if there's things that have been stuck in your life or that have been frustrating you or like aggravating you, I guess, in the best way, like genuinely like aggravation is what it looks like when I look at it. Those are the things that are going to start changing. They might not guaranteed move in the direction you want them to, but they're going to have movement. And that's what feels good about this whole eclipse is like, nope, those things are going to get kicked out of your space.
Yeah. And so right after Pluto slows itself down a little bit, we will have the eclipse the next day. It is a solar eclipse because normally it would be a new moon. And so during a new moon, we lose the moon's light because it's conjunct with the sun. I'm checking myself in this because sometimes I get confused. But so the sun is here and the moon, you're Earth. You are the world.
I'm Earth.
So
if anyone is wondering
Emily
what this
sitting
visual
to my,
looks like, look on YouTube.
Yeah, we have this on YouTube. You'll get a bigger visual. But if Emily sitting next to me is the Earth, and if my little fidget toy is the moon, it will come between the Earth and the sun. So it's going to block the ability for the sun to shine.
Because they have the same relative magnitude, which I just want to talk about that again.
So it's like,
this is the most magical thing to me, like ever, because for some reason, out of all of the places that the moon and the sun could be placed, they are placed exactly so they have the perfect relative magnitude to block one another out, which basically means they appear the same size to us at certain points in the sky.
Which is awesome.
And it's mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing.
It's super unique, and it's not going to last forever because the moon is kind of moving in its position. Not for a long time, don't worry. For as long as we're alive, we will probably still have eclipses.
Yes.
Barring any kind of weird, chaotic thing.
Bezos, don't touch the moon.
Don't touch the moon. But also, the cool thing is when they are going around, if Emily is the Earth, they also kind of wobble around, right? They're not always at the same level. So when they have an eclipse, sometimes they're exactly perfect, but the eclipse is the declination. The eclipse is they are at the same level. The moon isn't just partially covering. With a total eclipse, it totally covers it. It is at the perfect degree of latitude and longitude to be able to do that.
So with this solar eclipse, it's not a full eclipse. It is a partial.
I think this one's angular.
Yeah. And where is it viewed? Do we know?
It's like over South America, and I believe some in Mexico.
Okay.
If I looked it up correctly.
I'm gonna look it up.
I don't think I'll be able to see it from here in Pennsylvania. It's a little bit too south for that. The United States, if you're interested, will have a really good one next year with a total eclipse covering. It literally just crosses the United States.
I think it goes over Burning Man. I'm pretty sure. I think
that's cool.
Yeah, I was looking at the path of it last time after the last full solar eclipse, and I was like, I think this goes right over Burning Man.
Then I'm going to come visit you and we'll watch it together.
Right?
Yeah. So this eclipse is in Taurus. So it's a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus. It's happening at around 4:28 p.m. Eastern time. So you can adjust to be able to just honor the fact that that's the moment it's happening.
Yeah. Parts of Antarctica, the tip of South America, and the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. So if you're on a ship down there, you'll be able to see.
You can check it out and take a picture and let us know.
Or you can watch it
awesome
online.
That you're on a ship.
It's awesome. We want to see your ship pictures, please. Yes. Thank you.
We ship that. Stop.
No, that
I'm
was great.
sorry.
I appreciate the word. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. So because this is in Taurus, Venus is quite important because Venus is the ruler of Taurus. Venus is at 27 Pisces, which is unique for Venus because Venus is exalted in Pisces. And this is the particular degree that is most exalted for Venus. And it gets better. So Venus is exalted in Pisces and conjunct Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, on Venus's exaltation. So we have both benefics conjoined each other, one in domicile and one in exaltation. They're both really happy to be there. And it's at a really great degree for Venus, who also happens to be ruling the eclipse. And Venus is actually also forming a sextile with Pluto at the time. So creating opportunities for transformation to go with a little bit of effort really smoothly. So you'll notice it a little bit more than if it was just like, oh, I suddenly feel more enlightened. It's going to be like, oh, wow, I recognize this change in me and it feels good. So because sextiles are opportunities for the positive. So that's one of the things that will be coming in. It's a deep, all-encompassing transcendence and transformation that might come in the form of healing on emotional levels and things like that, because we are still in Pisces. So normally I would talk about like the sect light and who, like which sun or moon is most influenced, but they are eclipsing each other. So the cool thing about this is the moon is normally exalted in Taurus, but the moon doesn't have any light. So it's like I'm on stage, but there's no spotlight. So I don't know what to do with that. So what you get is this eclipse, where there would normally be a sort of essential dignity amplifying it, is also conjunct Uranus, our little revolutionary buddy.
Yeah.
And it's forming
stuff's gonna change.
Yeah, it's forming a sextile with Mars, who is also in Pisces at the same time. So the moon's kind of cheated out of the spotlight. It reminded me of Mike Wazowski. Like, I'm on the cover of a magazine. And
Mike is so happy about
and the
that.
barcode.
So is the moon happy about it?
It's complacent.
Okay,
it's
that's
like
fair.
It's cool where it's at, but again, it doesn't have any light to shine with. So the moon's main goal, if we gave it personification, is to translate for us. So it says, hey, sky, this is why the moon is the translator of my skits in planetary skits, because it will translate what's going on. So it's looking to gather all of the light and all of the energy and all the messages from the transits going on and then disseminate it to the earth. And it can't do that because it doesn't have light. So if light is the language and light is the way it transmits that, it doesn't have that. So while normally, it's like a little bit quiet today. It has maybe a sore throat, which is funny because Taurus rules the throat. I just
love how excited you just got. Which is funny,
like,
actually.
Oh, look at this, it correlates. Yeah, so there is a time for radical change and revolutionary efforts coming. I'm not telling you to like radicalize. I am not telling you to like go find a pitchfork right now and find something to poke with it. I'm telling you this is a time to witness the changes that are happening collectively in the world and be aware that you may have a calling in some direction, and it's going to feel good. It's not going to feel angry. So follow your calling, follow your passions, and you will end up in the right and perfect place for you to be the hero where you're supposed to be and where the world needs you. That's important. And yeah, so the conjunction with Jupiter and Venus is primo in this. We also have Mercury just went into their domicile as well.
Oh, okay.
So Mercury is now in Gemini. And so you have, again, if we go through the planets, Mars is not as exalted or in domicile, but it is by triplicity doing all right. So it's
at least it's not angry.
Yeah, it's not too angry. It's simmering. Saturn is in domicile in Aquarius. Jupiter's in domicile. Neptune, if you take it as a modern ruler, would also be in domicile. Venus is exalted to the degree. The sun and moon are conjunct where the moon would normally be exalted. So we have a lot of really comfortable planets doing big things. They have the energy they need to achieve their goals because they're in a place that provides them with the energy to do it.
Yeah, a lot of really close up planets doing big things is really what it is.
Yeah,
too.
and they're all
lots
kind of
personal
bundled
stuff.
Yeah, Mercury actually with this becomes the first planet to get on the other side of the North and South node, which are in Taurus and Scorpio. So Mercury is breaking through that boundary of us being focused on things in this side of, it's a focus on this side of the chart at any given time. So we're focused on a lot of Taurus things like resources and lack thereof, or issues in the receiving of resources with the not shipping. What is it called?
Supply chain.
Supply chain. Thank
Mhm.
you. I knew there was
Yeah.
like a zeitgeist word.
Yeah.
And we're also really focused on mental health and healing and all of those things because there's a lot going on in Taurus and there's a lot going on in Pisces. We also have Saturn saying, hey, by the way, society's being worked on. I got this. So we have a lot of focus in that area of the sky and the chart. They're all just chilling. In fact, on the 20th, if you woke up early enough, you would be able to see the lineup of Saturn, Mars, Venus, and then Jupiter right ahead of the sun. So they formed like this great line coming up the sky.
Cool. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I didn't get to see it because I'm usually exercising, but I think we might be able to see it tomorrow morning. We can try. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a little late to see it, but you can always look at it, and it may not be a perfect alignment, but it's close. Especially when this comes out, you may see Jupiter and Venus almost as one star because they'll be close together.
So extra bright.
Super bright and super beneficial, which is really good. So again, you are allowing healing to happen during this eclipse. It's a massive change, almost like a download, because there's a lot of intuitive receiving divine feminine energy that goes along with Pisces. So almost like allowing a download to come in.
So I was saying that my guides just showed me like journaling, and it's not journaling with intention. It's more like journaling to, like, it's more just word vomit journaling, genuinely is what it looks like. And that's when you get the best downloads. To just take it out of you and immediately put into a journal in that word vomit format is the best. It helps so much with clearing stuff out, making sure the download comes through. So I think that's probably why they're showing it to me so clearly. But that would be like the only thing that I feel like physically to do as far as like to get your energy out would be to just do that.
If you're doing physical activity, that was actually a recommendation in several of my horoscopes as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's totally aligned, of course. And so we have, we're moving in the direction of, this is what was really cool. When I interpret, I do it logistically, like astrologically, but I also tune in and ask kind of how to interpret that energetically. And so we're moving in a direction of the creator's definition of peace and abundance. And so we're taking the shortest tangible route to get there, because this eclipse is saying, hey, hard stop, we're going this way. And that's what it does. It realigns us. It reminds me of when the course changes on a railroad track. It just says, whoop, we're going this way. And now we're on track better. It's a better path to be on. And so you have that shortest distance. Also, the fact that we have Uranus involved. Uranus is like, yeah, I'm not patient. I'm going to change this today, right here, right now. Surprise. So we have the shortest tangible route that we will experience in time to get from wherever we're currently at to the creator's definition of peace and support for ourselves. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that shows up. Again, it may not be rainbows and butterflies, but it will be effective and it will give results that are better than probably what we can imagine, which is one of the reasons why manifesting during an eclipse, because you are not the entirety of the collective and you don't have the full picture of the universe that's going on, you can only conceive of something within your own realm. But what if you could have something better? What if there's something better meant for you? Allowing that to come to you is something that's really helpful for eclipses as well. And allowing things to fall away in order to make space for that is also important. So loss is a process and a part of rebirth. And it's helpful to acknowledge that, to acknowledge the feeling of losing something so that you can process it and allow yourself to have a rebirth and call in the new things.
I would also say, leading up to the eclipse, if you want to take some time to think about the areas where you're feeling that resistance to change, or feeling that like, I don't want to do this space, or I don't want to just sit there and trust the moon, work on those spaces before that comes up, so that when it does, you're allowing yourself to have the space to trust and just let stuff happen.
And that's why we did last week's episode. So check that out if you're looking for techniques and tools to do that. For an affirmation for this, I'm ready to see, feel, and know, which is something that you can just tell yourself, I'm ready to observe, I'm ready to experience. And for applying it, do not make moon water. It will be as though,
do not.
I explained this to my mentor the one time, and she said it was a great analogy. If you are pulling water from a well, and that's your moon water, this is like a squirrel fell into the well and didn't make it back out, and you're pulling water from it. Don't use the corrupted water. It's not going to be helpful for any kind of intentional purposes, because it's corrupted. It didn't get the light charging it up. It's not charged. It's lacking of charge. Actually, it's void of charge. So it's not going to do what you want it to do anyway. This is a great time to just not do the moon water. It's cool if you forget. And in fact, it's probably divine if you forget. I recommend actually laying down with some great music and just allowing visions to come to you and then journaling about what they are. And if thoughts come up first, let them, because you can clear your mind and clear your head and things that come up with them. The thoughts that come up need to be acknowledged. It's not a lack of meditation to have thoughts in your mind. Those are the thoughts that need to be addressed. So I recommend doing that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then every day of the first week of May also has aspects where
I was just gonna say grounding tools also, like for the new moon, for the eclipse, grounding tools.
Same. Yeah.
Wear grounding tools. That's my husband's go-to method, is every day he'll wear some sort of jewelry that he knows is like for him to ground with, as opposed to having a crystal nearby to hold on to. That is perfectly fine. Doing any grounding techniques. We covered some last week. I have a ton on my TikTok. I think you probably have some on your TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah. Grounding techniques. Yeah.
Yeah. So grounding will be good.
That's good.
Period.
My favorite.
Yeah, whatever feels good to you. I recommend more tangible grounding than I do meditative grounding for this particular eclipse space. Having something to hold on to, wear, hug, whatever it is that helps you feel grounded, I think is going to be really important.
I will have something to hug.
You will have
Because
something to
Emily got
hug.
me a birthday gift and it's adorable and I get to snuggle with it. Yeah, so of the transits that are in the first week of May, I will cover all of them in my May Astro Overview, which should be out next week, according to this, relative to this episode. But the one that will happen that is the most interesting is the sun will conjoin Uranus, as it would, because the eclipse is within conjunction of this as well. So the sun's going to go through. You might notice prominent breakthroughs because the sun will have Uranus in the heart of it. So we'll have these prominent clarity breakthroughs of, I got to make this change. And it suddenly makes sense. Eureka is a great word for this. Strokes of brilliance and strokes of inspiration, and not real strokes. Sorry.
No, good.
More humor there. My bad. So we are beginning a new Uranus cycle with this, and that will just be a new cycle of change coming in. And
Which is really nice following the eclipse.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So with the next, what is the date of the next eclipse? So for those of you who maybe are unfamiliar, there's always 2 eclipses basically in a row.
Because you have a full new moon and a new moon.
Exactly. So both of those have an eclipse on them. That is why it's called eclipse season. And that one's on, what is it, the 15th?
May 16th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eastern time anyway. It's 12:15 a.m. on May 16th.
Oh, so it is the 15th.
So for you, it's the 15th because
like,
you'll be in California. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We're both right. Isn't that
Yes,
great?
look at us.
Look how that can happen in the world, where both people can be right based on perception.
Look at that. That is not an example of anything.
No, I'll just leave that there. So,
yeah,
that's the rest of April. That's
With
the eclipse.
Uranus conjunction, what do you feel like should be done in that space to honor stuff? Because it feels like there's going to be a lot of cool changes, and I want to make sure those changes are honored. And when I look at it, it feels just like really cool, flowy. I did an arm motion for you listening,
like a roller coaster,
like a roller or bunny hopping on the roller coaster, not like plummeting to your death on a roller coaster. I hate roller coasters.
Uranus loves thrills. So.
But yeah, it feels very much like very fun, cool shifts and changes, but I want to make sure they're honored well. And I'm not getting any particular pings initially on how to honor them.
That's because Uranus, oh, this is fun. I get to say this. I'm actually getting a ping. That's because the outer planets, one of the reasons in traditional astrology they weren't acknowledged is because we couldn't see them. So they couldn't see us.
Right.
And so you have this connection of, they're considered the old gods. They are further out than we can see. They have an impact that we've been able to observe since their discoveries, but we can't really attribute a lot of personal things to them because they're so far away, and because they're so far away, they move slowly. So they end up marking a generation with things. And so, you have a generation really punctuated by where Pluto is. And then within that, you have the part of that Pluto generation that also had Uranus here. And then maybe it's like a, not 50-50 specifically, but for the purposes of explaining, Uranus was here, but then later millennials or Gen Zs would have Uranus here. And so there's this sub-generation kind of thing that happens.
Delineation between
countercultures. So like the Gen Zennials
right,
were one way or another before everything officially shifted over to Pluto and Sagittarius.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that works. Saturn is considered the boundary. I think I explained this a little bit the other day. Saturn is the boundary. It's the last planet we can see with our naked eye without a telescope. Sometimes Uranus can, when it's in just the right place, but it was first observed with a telescope, and Neptune had to be found using math, and Pluto had to be found. So we can't observe them, and they're far away enough from us that they don't relate. So that's one of the things with the sun conjoining Uranus. It begins a new cycle of change, but on a personal level, it's going to take a while. Uranus takes a long time to go around. I think it's an 80 some year cycle for it to have a full revolution around the sun.
Wow.
Yeah, I can Google it and look it up and get that right, but I know it's a long one. So it's going to take a long time. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. And it's only about halfway through. So you can think about how slowly it moves.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, it's honoring the changes that you notice around you and then getting excited about what you can do with them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, cool.
Great question. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it's our bookend episode.
Oh, yeah, it is. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
it's
bookend
been an
stuff.
Interesting book month.
If you've been like it's been equal parts like good book month, I think, and like negative book month for kind of both of us.
Yeah,
You
I had to
DNF'd some
DNF
stuff.
2 in 1 week.
Yeah. So yeah. What did you I just smacked the microphone. What did you read?
My favorite read of the month was So This Is Ever After. I can't remember the author of it. I'm actually going to look this up as I talk about it because it was so fun. It did not take itself seriously. It wasn't like the end of the world and all this stuff.
Which is wonderful.
By F.T. Lukens. Really just feel good. Lots of great themes that happened in the peripheral of the plot. So you got to pick up on all of these really good high vibe themes that were so normalized, they were peripheral to the plot. And I really loved that. So as they're going through this, it's a romance for sure. It's a great representation of actually bisexual romances, which was amazing.
That makes me happy.
It was just so cool to just see how it just flowed. It just was, again, the topics that are taken so ardently in our current societal climate were just normal in a medieval context with monsters and stuff popping up every once in a while, but it was funny. And there was some moments that felt really slapstick and you could just visualize it. The dynamics between the characters were wonderful, supportive friends and found family, like, so good. So highly recommend that one. I did DNF a book by an author I used to really like. I've been looking for a good fae book and I have not found it.
Guys, if you have really good fae books, like fairy books, please tell us because Krista's on the hunt. I am on the hunt. I love fairies so much and I always have. And I love the feeling of their worlds and stuff. But lately they just get so, I wouldn't even say dark because I can handle dark, but it's just so irredeemable. And they torture each other and then love each other for it. And I just can't jive with that these days. Yeah. Which is why you DNF'd the second one. Yes. Yeah, that was that one. I don't even remember the name now. It was Cruel Prince. Oh, Cruel Prince. Yeah. Because I was like, okay, this could get better. But then I'm several hours into it and it's like, you are still on this. And that was just over the line. I would not be friends, let alone have any sort of attraction, whether it's manipulative or not, with someone. This person needs a new goal. So that was where I was at. Which is fair. I mean, I've read the Cruel Prince series and it was good. It was fun, but it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. And I don't think it's particularly high vibe. Too reminiscent of experiences I didn't like. And it was one of those things where you walk someone into the dark feelings and I didn't feel like we were going to walk back out. I felt like we were going to stay there. Pretty fair. So yeah, so I wasn't willing to give up a credit of my Audible subscription to have that in my library forever when I wasn't going to be able to enjoy it. Yeah. Awesome. But I have heard wonderful things about it. If I ever had it in book form where I could share it with someone else once I was done, if I didn't like it, I would probably finish it. But because there was this, it's now or never kind of feeling to it, I didn't want to go all the way with that. Good. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Good.
But
Well,
yeah.
at least you had a good favorite.
Yeah, I did. I really did. I have a lot of exciting options for my next books once I catch up on some astrology. Yeah.
Nice. I read, what did I read? I know some I read, but I feel like I started the month. When did I finish? I started the month finishing Daisy Jones and the Six, and that was really fun. Daisy Jones, it's by Taylor Jenkins Reid, so it's the same author that wrote The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is one of my all-time favorites. I love it so much. And it's good. It's fun. It covers basically the coming together and then falling apart of a band in the 70s. And so there's a lot of like drugs and rock and roll kind of energy, but the audiobook was super fun because it was a full cast, and it's told from the perspective of someone interviewing all of these members of the band and the people around the band at the time. So you always knew who was talking. Not only did they introduce themselves fairly well, but they also had a different voice, and I really appreciated it. It was super fun. And the voice actors were phenomenal. So they really got the characters like the way a character would be talking in an interview down so well. That's like hard to write so that it can be read that way. Like they really acted it out, and it was really fun. Cool. And I read it really quick. I listened to it just as I cleaned and stuff, and I think I listened to it in like a week max. It was really quick and easy read. Yeah, it was good. I liked where it went. I liked the woman empowerment aspect that it had, and it was pretty cool. The characters that end up kind of being the most important to the story, you actually don't really think they are until the very end, and it's just kind of neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid is really good at walking you through a story and having you think there's not going to be a twist at all, and then giving you a pretty decent twist right at the end, and you being like, "Why is there a twist here?" These are just people's lives. There shouldn't be a twist, but there's always a solid twist, and it's really good. So that was the one I started the month with, and it was really awesome. And then I read The Pawn and the Puppet. Don't pick it up. It's the most harmful book I've read in a really long time. Don't read it. Don't go look it up. Just don't do it. Please don't. There's not enough trigger warnings on it. It's horribly written. There's a whole bunch of things wrong with it. As a writing person, as a person who works in this industry and who has reviewed hundreds of books and was a ghostwriter and all those things, that's my opinion. Also, as a member of the queer community, I'm not a member of the trans community. You may have seen some dialogue about that on TikTok. I read this book before the dialogue. The phobia in it is like the smallest part of the things that are problematic and harmful. So don't. Yeah. Reads with Rachel on YouTube is about to do a really awesome YouTube review of it, and I would go probably watch that. Is what I would recommend if you have any thoughts. Yeah, so that was horrible. So I immediately I bounced back from that one, and I was like, I need to read a book about like queer love by like a BIPOC author. And so I picked up Iron Widow, which I'm not finished with Iron Widow yet, but so far it's pretty freaking awesome, and I'm excited to talk about that. Yeah, it's super duper awesome. It is, if Darling in the Franxx was more feminist and met the Hunger Games kind of energy, is the best way I can describe it. Darling in the Franxx is an anime, for those of you who don't know. So it's like a mech anime. So there's like a lot of big robots that fight things. Think Pacific Rim and Transformers, but people are inside of the robots. So it's really cool. And it's based on ancient Chinese mythology, which is super cool. And I really valued. Yeah. So really stoked on that one. I haven't finished it. I also started reading the Atlas 6 this month, which I haven't finished yet, but it's really awesome. And about the Library of Alexandria, which I love. And then, I'm almost done with The Love Hypothesis, which was also a knee-jerk after The Pawn and the Puppet. I needed to listen to something that was a rom-com, which it is. It's a rom-com, and it's on my list. It's fantastic. It's really healthy love, which I appreciate. It's really cool growth for the main character. It's very, very high vibration. There's some like rom-com stuff where I'm like, this is fine, but it's not like particularly high vibration. I read Well Met a while ago, which was fun. I loved the idea of a Renaissance love story, Renaissance fair love story, which was cute, but it wasn't like the most high vibration thing I've ever read. This one is really cool, and yeah, I really appreciate it. So yeah, that was kind of my wrap for the month. Surprisingly, no Rome books, because I'm in the middle of writing now and I'm not reading any more of those. I did buy more, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I've got astrology books I've been reading in the meantime, preparing for some conferences I'm attending over the spring and summer. But yeah, it's been diving into a lot of old texts and new texts and how to justify the two and rectify the two and make them both work. And it's fun.
Yeah, that's like a puzzle.
Love the astrology.
So yeah, that's my book end for the month. And I
Yeah.
can't believe April is over.
I know. It's
Like,
been
what
so
happened?
fast. So you can tell
Right?
the planets were all direct because like where has the time gone in the
That's a
last
good
couple
point. That
months?
is a really good measurement of how, like, to see that like everyone has been very caught up in the last 2 months going so quickly. And that is definitely because the planets were all direct. And
Yeah.
that is a cool way of putting it. I didn't actually think about it that way, which
Thank
I
you.
just really value that. Good
Yeah.
job. Yeah, we're here.
Small emergency happening with my husband. So
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're here doing our writers retreat for our writers program, which again we're going to talk to you more about soon. So if you guys are interested in that, we're excited. We're going to have more really cool announcements coming very shortly, which is fantastic. Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in.
yeah.
This is really,
This is going to be like definitely at the same time.
Hmm.
Or if it's not, we're really bad at it.
Hmm.
The
the thing.
the
I was
thing.
like, what is at the same time? At the same time as the eclipse?
Sorry,
What's going
I'm
on?
thinking about how we wrap the episode and
Yeah,
how like
we're gonna
we
wrap
usually
it
have
so
to.
well.
We are, and now we're setting everybody up to be like they're gonna get it right, and we're
Right.
gonna butcher it.
Ready?
So,
Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready?
So
we hope that you all 1, 2, 3
go make some magic.
Yeah.
Just like we just did. Honor the eclipse. Honor
Mwah.
yourself. Have a great week.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.